nice to meet you, Felipe. Thanks for having me here.
The fact that you made a movie about the Mayan calendar in animation is just so exciting.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. It's something that we are very proud. We work in conjunction with the Mayan community because I think first, when it's authentic, it feels authentic, and two, like we want to honor also the culture, not just exploit. We have like advances from the community. Uh, Half of the films is in Mayan. So far, the reaction that we have got from the communities, especially in Yucatan, has been incredible. Uh, or actually, the first screening was to some Mayan children that was their first time in theaters, in cinema. So like we were having like a screening, and the owner of the theater say, hey, like we have some Mayan kids and we would love to show the film to them. Can we? And say, oh, yeah, of course, we made that for, and their reaction was incredible. We were after Elemental, so of course it was a very hard act to follow. Uh, and also,
So I had a question right there. Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
I want to talk about the animation because I have so many questions about that. But you just spoke about how the majority of the movie is in Mayan, and how was that process? How this is something I don't know about. Is Mayan still spoken? Is it something kind of like Latin where it's like very few people speak it? What was that process like in recording that dialogue?
well, first, it's not like a dead language like a Latin, and there's different dialects of Mayan. So there's not just one Mayan dialect, or there's not only one Mayan culture. Actually, there's many Mayan cultures, and that was one of the complicated things uh, about the film, because you cannot encompass everything because there's no one. So in this case specifically, it was Maya Yucateco, and we have like an expert, like a native speaker that uh, did the translation and everything. And also because we didn't knew the language, we also have to have like another person to verify that the guy that he was doing the translation was accurate. Because a few years ago, in a political campaign and election season, a candidate was doing like a campaign in Mayan, but the guys that did the voice, they were saying like, "Don't vote for this guy. He's like a corrupt," and he knew what they were saying, so it was like kind of very funny. And
That's funny. That reminds me of the scene in Life is Beautiful where the Benigni character says, "Oh yeah, I speak German," and then he just starts completely making up a story of what the Nazi soldiers are saying.
Yeah, no, it's exactly, and because they didn't speak that, so we did have to have two different people kind of to verify that what they were saying it was true. And I mean, we trust the person. It was just kind of insurance, not insurance, but
Yeah, you're doing your due diligence. Yeah,
exactly. It was kind of hard also during the how do I say, during the dub, because they were, when you do dubs, you need like professional actors that do that, and it was hard to find uh, people that they were professionals that speak Mayan. So like in our case, Manuel Chan, who is fantastic, he was like a radio locutor. So he has his Mayan program, and he gives the news in Mayan. But he was not per se like a voice actor. But he was fantastic, and because he had like that confidence and he had like that voice training that you need to be like a locutor in the radio, that was easier.
Yeah, totally. And so going back to the fact that I think you're our only animated movie at our festival. Is animation something that you were always into from day one? Was this a one-off? Because I think it's just so cool and so impressive. I watched your movie and I'm like, how did he do this?
Well, I think at the end of uh, the day, uh, animation is not a genre; it's a style. Uh, and I always loved animated movies. Since I was kid, like like classic Disney, and growing up, like also like like I see more mature animation, right? And also the classics, also like Disney, and it's always I always love it, and I always say, oh, I want to do that, but I never did, and my training is not in animation. Uh, it's on live action. But I always had like this immense respect, and like a lot of years, my favorite films are animated. Not all of them, but a few. Like Coco was my favorite film of the year. Across the Spider-Man was my favorite film of the year. Anomalisa was my favorite film of the year of their respective years. I think this year I haven't watched all of them, but definitely Across the Spider-Verse is on the top. Uh, and so the Slow Foundation, they give grants to promote science through films, and they have like a live action section and an animation section. And I applied to the, I was going to, well, I did apply to the live action. And my girlfriend, who works in animation, told me, why don't you apply to the animation section as well? I think, well, actually, why not? Uh, I applied, and but like the live action was more kind of traditional for what they usually do, like a life scientist. That I still want to do that story. It's like a Mexican scientist that basically saved the world uh, based on a true story. He won the Nobel Prize. But then, if I was going to do animation, I said, well, I want to do something completely different that I can only do in animation, so I can exploit that. So I say, like first, like I want the style to say something about what we are saying. I want to do things I cannot do in live action because I don't have like big budget. So let's do like a period piece with animals, and
Yeah.
also like a science that is not that in your nose. Like an. So that's why we decided to do astronomy, and that's how the idea came. And I'm a big nerd, so like when I was doing that, I kind of researched everything. Like I spent hours like doing all the animation process, and also my girlfriend was helping me. So when we did the presentation, it had all the steps of from the animation process that they thought I was in animation, and they were actually surprised that I was not. Uh, because everything was very clear and in the presentation and on the pitch that I sent to them.
So let's touch about that for a bit. Like I worked on one animated show. Actually, I still have this is so long ago, but I still have one prop from it. It was called Sit Down, Shut Up. It was on Fox. I worked on 13 episodes of that.
Amazing.
But but that was a very weird show. But because what we did is we had live action photographs, and then they animated cartoons in the front. So it was very kind of like avant-garde, weird, very lo-fi, let's say. So since you said your training was not in animation, right? So for me, for people watching this that have never done animation, what was in your preparation for that deck that you presented? What was the biggest difference of what you would usually do for a deck for a live action film? What was the biggest adjustment that maybe your girlfriend advised you on?
I think on the deck, just kind of make sure that I understand the language and the process, right? So like that we knew what we were doing every day, and also understand that uh, it's very complicated. It takes a lot of time and money. So something that happens a lot of times. When I show the films to friends, and because they think it's just like you click the on the computer animate and it will animate itself.
Yeah.
uh, so like but I think like so in the pitch deck it was not that. I mean, just knew the process and kind of have everything ready, right? Like some of the designs, some of the storyboards. Uh, but I think the biggest difference when you are in production is that for good and for bad, you have to know everything, and there's no room to improvisation. While in live action, I think that's some of the beauty of live action, that you do can improvise and test things on set. And unless you have the budget of Spider-Verse, you cannot kind of say, okay, let's try at this with a different style, or let's create more scenes, because everything is very expensive. So you have to know. But by the other side, you can be more specific on what you want. Like it's not like in live action that you can say like, oh, I want a fucking jaguar. And in animation, it's easier kind of to get done. So like it has pros and cons. And also something is that what because I'm not animating. We have like the thing is like I work a little for a long time. What do I mean? It's like it's not like in live action. Like me, I have to be on set 24/7. Well, not 24/7, but like 12 hours for 6 weeks, and then being in the post production room like for weeks, uh, like 8 hours a day, right? In animation, I was like probably just giving notes like every 2-3 days, like so it's like half-hour meetings, or 1 hour, like just going to very specific on the details, and then wait for them uh, to do the notes, right? So it was
Yeah.
not something that you get immediately, or you have to be as a director working 24/7, especially
I know that you
when you.
mentioned your studio that you worked with was in Mexico. How big was that team, and kind of how long was the production process?
So because the budget that we have was limited for what I wanted, uh, I had to have everything perfect before I pitch uh, myself and the project to the studio. So I already had like the design, I already had like the animatic, I already had basically everything that you need to do before the animation. So it was easier for them, and they also could trust me that I knew what I was doing, because again, the video was not a lot for the first, just to have the animatic and the designs. It took like al- uh, almost a year and a half. Once we got that, I found this studio. It was perfect. They were amazing, and they liked the idea, me, and the work that we have done. Once they got in, it was faster because they were a professional studio, so they were working full time. So like the animation team was around 30 persons that they were working for full time or 3 months.
I just have one more
Yeah.
question about this process, because you said the word animatics in there, and that you made it sound so simple. But animatics, they're like a very simple version of the animation, right? Of the storyboards coming to life. Was that something that you were able to do by yourself, or you also had an animatics team?
Yeah, no, it's like sadly I have no talent drawing. It's the worst thing that you will ever see if you see my drawings. But I was lucky enough. The producer, one of the producers, Julia Quinceno, that she was working with me from the very beginning. She did. She was also the storyboard artist and the animatic
Very cool.
uh, artist. So she did. We worked together, but she was the one who draws everything. Like I mean, if you follow us on Instagram, you can see like some version of the animatic with the final version of the film. Uh, but for us, the animatic was essential before we pitched to anyone because first the animatic gives you a close estimate on how long the movie is going to be and how much work it's going to be, and also like that removes improvisation, right? Because like you already have thought about the shots and
Hmm.
how everything's going to
Yeah,
be. Of course, it changes. And you know when they suggested the stuff, like it was almost always for the better. So it's not like it's set in stone. But
exactly. They have something to start with, and then they can pitch something that's going to elevate your idea.
yeah, and that's always like I think I'm very good. I'm always very open to ideas, and whenever I say no, I always try to say why not, so they feel heard. And also when I explain why not, that makes me rationalize the two things that are in consideration. So and also I know they are spending more time on the computer and watching the frames. So I also understand that they might have a better sense on that part because they have been with the same scene for how many hours. And for me, it's kind of very easy and to say no just after seeing it a few times, right? So I always uh, trust. And of course, when I know I want something specific and I want that like for a specific reason and I justify it, it's at the end of the day, you as a director have the last word, but it's
Yeah.
always
Well, again, Guillermo, we're so excited to have your movie because it's such an achievement. I mean, I love the story. I love the technical achievement again, and we're lucky to be able to show it at our festival. We're super pumped to screen it here in Miami at our first ever Coconut Grove Film Festival.
no. Thank you for having. I always love to share the film with it so people can watch it. So I appreciate you having us. I wish I could be in Miami, but just right now it's a bit tight. But
But that
it's
it's a
for
testament of how much we wanted to screen your film, knowing that you couldn't come because you know everyone else like will be here I think maybe there's one more film, but we just wanted to show your film and at least share your experience here online. And I'm sure that there will be people that will reach out to you after watching your movie.
no. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it and let me know how it goes, and I hope everybody enjoys the film.